Hey everybody, it's Danny, the Wicked Awesome Gardener, coming at you from The Wicked Awesome Garden, and today I'm going to show you how to get an increased carrot germination and a better carrot harvest using a board. Before we get started with our carrots, go ahead and click that subscribe button to stay up to date on all our videos with all our tips and tricks for growing great food. That's right, that board is going to help us get a better carrot harvest. Then it can go back to the end of my tomato bed. The tomato bed isn't filled with soil yet. The compost for that is coming next week, but by then this board will have done its job and can go back to completing the raised bed over there. So today I am planting my favorite short and sweet carrots. These are just little shorties. And some Danvers 126. And partially because they're just good standard carrot, but also we live near Danvers, Massachusetts, and it's just kind of funny having a sort of locally named carrot, even though I don't think that's actually where the name comes from. So plants like mint and strawberry are what I call garden bullies because they just get in and they take over. Carrots are the garden babies because if they don't have just perfect obstruction-free soil, they get mad and they throw a little tantrum and they stop growing, or they grow funny around it. So when you plant carrots, you want to make sure that you have fairly loose, well-draining, rock-free soil. Now, my soil is loose, it's well draining, but because I got a compost and loam mix, a 50-50 mix, I have too many little rocks like this. But I'm gonna plant them anyway. I will be pulling out rocks for probably the next couple of years. But I don't wanna miss out on carrots because I love them. I'm not gonna grow a ton because I know they're not gonna do great, but I don't wanna miss out. The other thing that you need to know when you're planting carrots is baby carrots, when they're first germinating and starting to get going, they really do not like hot weather. They want something that's nice and cool, and if it's too hot, those seedlings will just pop up and go, eh. We're planting them here a couple of weeks before our last frost date. Last frost date here is April 30th. We're in zone 6B, a little bit north of Boston, and we're right on the ocean, so we get a little bit warmer, where we would get a dusting of snow 5 miles inland, they'll get 4 or 5 inches. So it makes a little bit of a microclimate here. The great thing, even though our last frost date isn't for another 2 weeks, looking at my 10-day forecast, and this is something that you should do in early spring when you're planting things like this, there is not a single night in my 10-day forecast that is below 40 degrees, which means it's very unlikely that we are going to have a frost in the next 10 days, so that's great. This method with the board will protect these carrot seedlings as they are under the ground and germinating. Another thing with planting carrots is that these seeds are tiny and they can just blow away. If we had a good puff of wind right now, it would go poof, and they'd be gone. Look at how tiny, if you can even see that seed. The other thing that is difficult about the size of a carrot seed is that when you water afterwards, it can very easily scatter the seeds. If you're planting in rows like I am going to do, when you take your hose and you spray down the water to water those seeds in, it can very easily scatter them and go everywhere, thus disturbing your rows, and your spacing is going to be all off. So what this board does is it's going to keep your carrot seeds in place. It's also going to keep them cool. It's going to keep it moist under there because we're going to pre-wet the soil, and that's going to help your carrots get a really good start. Then you want to check them in about 4, 5, 6 days. Check them every day, morning and night, because as soon as you see them popping above the soil, they need that sunlight. And so you've got to get this board off so that they can get up and get all that energy from the sun that they need to grow. Let's get started. So first thing we're going to do is make sure the area is well watered. so they'll get nice and moist from the sides. It'll be great. And there you go. Quick and easy way to germinate your carrots using just a simple piece of wood. Thanks for coming along today. Don't forget to like and subscribe so that you can see more tips and tricks like this to grow wicked awesome food from yard to table. If you enjoyed this video and you want to see more, please click here for more content. Don't forget to like and subscribe to stay up to date on our latest videos. Thank you so much for watching. I'm really excited to go through this journey with you while we grow something wicked awesome from yard to table.